you to go in the cavity, and the kidneys are on either side of the spine. I want you to take your index finger and your middle finger and scrape out the kidneys. You'll have to find either side of the spine, press down as you go out, and you'll pop out the kidneys. Okay, there are the kidneys. Make sure you get them out. And you can rinse. Because we're using the bones for stock, so what we don't want to do is have the kidneys in there. They will add a bitter element to the stock as well as cloud your stock. So it's good to just scrape those out. Okay. Then you're going to take a half sheet pin, bring your bird back to your table. So we'll head over here now. So to recap, step one was to rinse your bird and scrape out the kidneys. Step two will be to dry your bird off. Right? You don't want this slippery on your cutting board. It's not safe. If you have questions at any point, just throw them out. Okay. Next thing, you want to orient yourself, because a lot of people, maybe you've never worked with a whole bird before, so you want to orient yourself. This is how the bird would be, right? It's kind of like, oh, it makes a connection there, right? So you can see where the head was up here. Here's the arm. So where's the breast? Right in the front. But you'll be surprised. Some people will try and cut the breast out of here because they're not oriented properly, right? So if you stand the bird up, you can kind of see the breast in the front. The next step then would be to put the bird on its back. And you're going to do now, use a boning knife. Take one of the boning knives back there. And you'll see here, right by, this is the femur bone going into the thigh. You're going to make a safety cut here and here, like this. You're going to hyperextend the femur so that it sits nice and flat. Okay? You don't want it wobbling around. While you're back at this end, you're going to cut off any excess skin and fat. That would be waist. Okay. Also back here, this is again the tail feather, where the tail feathers come out of. There are hormones in here and glands that secrete a pheromone an oil up into the feathers, and when the hen shakes her tail feathers, it releases a scent that the rooster will be like, and then be attracted to that bird. That's helpful for us to understand because we don't want that in our stock. This will also add a bitter element, so we want to remove that. That becomes waste. Okay. Then once you're done with that,
what exactly is that?
We call it the Pope's nose. It actually, I forgot the real name of it. If you guys want to look it up, it does have a name, but most cooks will call this the Pope's nose. I have no idea why. I actually looked up all the popes, and none of their noses look like this. I don't know how they do it. Once you're done removing that, you're going to turn it around 180 degrees, and we're going to start to remove the wing tips. Okay. Anytime you're going to be removing a joint like this, you want to watch the way it moves. And then these are all ball and socket joints. So you have a ball end of the bone, and it fits to a socket. Right? So it fits in there like that, and they move, they articulate a certain way. So we want to find out how they move, and then you make an incision right by the joint, hyperextend, and then there's a good picture of the ball and the socket. So it sits right there, and you want to cut right in between that to remove it. Wing tips are fantastic for stock. There's a lot of collagen in their protein, so we want to save those for when we do stock. Okay, so that'll go from stock. So we have a waste pile and a stock pile so far. Then we're going to do the wings, same way. Find out how the wings articulate. Cut down to where the joint is, hyperextend, and then you can see where to cut through. Wings we're going to have a separate bucket for. Same thing. Hyperextend. There you can see ball and socket. Cut right in front of the ball. And there's your wing. Okay, very important now is you're going to leave this drumette portion on the breast. Okay, we're going to be cutting out what are called airline breasts or Statler breasts. These are a very nice, elegant way of serving chicken breasts, and it includes that drumette portion. If you ever go out and eat wings, this probably looks familiar. And then the other one is the drumette. This portion, we're going to leave that attached to the breast. So that's an important note there. Next step is going to be to remove the wishbone, and this is very easy to do. It's on us, it's our clavicle, our collarbone, and then we also have up front here that holds the ribs together. We call it the manubrium. It's in here. It's like a keel bone, and it goes down. What you're going to do is you're going to sit the bird up, and it's not in the hole. People are like trying to poke in the hole. It's not in there. It's, if you come closer, you can see it. Somebody want to feel it? You can feel it right here. Right there. Come on in.
Oh, okay.
So right here. There. Yeah. So somebody from each group should come in here and feel it so they see it. It's not in the hole. It's right here. Yeah. You feel it? Where my finger is? That's it. One on each side. Okay? So it sits down like this. That's the wish. So don't look in the hole for it. Okay? Taylor, why don't you touch this real quick? Right here. You can. Not in the hole. That's what most people go like right here. See where my finger is? There. You feel that? So that's the wishbone that sits right down there. What you're going to do is you're going to make. Anybody else want to feel it? She hides all over. She like out of it. All right. So you can actually see it. Actually feel right here. Feel the bone? That's it. So you're going to make a cut on the outside of the bone on both sides, so that your finger can go up there. Okay. Small incision. You're going to take your index finger and your thumb, and you're going to go inside those holes, walk it up to the moon. This one's already broken, so you're going to go up and break it off, and then pull it straight down, and it'll come straight out. This one broke already. And that's the wishbone. You can see it like that. Okay. So wishbone, that goes in with stock. The reason why we're removing that now is we'll extend our yield and how much breast meat we're taking out. If we don't cut that out, then we're going to lose all that meat that's underneath the wishbone. There's still meat underneath there, so you want to get that out as well. Okay, next step is you're going to find the manubrium that runs right down the middle. Manubrium or keel bone runs right down here, and you can feel it here. Come on over. You feel it. Then you're going to cut on either side of it. So you're going to go shallow cut. Okay, find that. You're going to cut all the way down in front, and then from here you're going to go back. Just use the first inch of the boning knife is the best part. Okay. Then once you have that kind of exposed like that, now you're going to just basically walk the breast off the rib cage. So I'm just going to take the tip of my knife and follow the ribs down and get out all. Just walk the breast off the rib cage. Then you're going to notice this large bone right here. Okay. You want to follow that down until you get to there's a joint in there. There's the joint right here. You can see the bone ends. Here you want to double check and make sure your drumette is out with your breast, and then you're going to cut right through that joint towards or inside the bird. Okay? And that is a Statler breast. Trim that off. So there is one Statler breast with the drumette attached. Okay, you can see how nice that would sit on a plate and look better than just the breast. So then you're gonna do this. You can turn the bird around, move the bird around anytime you want that's comfortable for you as you're doing. There's no rules really. Here though, where a lot of people mess up is they'll cut straight forward here and they forget about all this meat. So you want to include all this meat in with the other breast. So don't lose that. And because the keel bone stops right here, So you want to cut and make sure you include all this meat in the other side. Okay? Just follow the ribs down again. And this is symmetrical too, so you have this keel bone, and then you have the two, they're going to be even on both sides. So it's just like we followed this bone down here, you're going to follow this one down here again. To the joint. Once you get to the joint, you'll see that white part right there. See, it's like bone, and then it gets dark, and then it gets white. It's typical for bones to do that. Double check that you have your drumette out. Then you can cut through into the bird. And there's your other. And if you have excess fat on there, you can trim that off. Here also, from the breast, you're going to see this like tenderloin piece on here. You can just rip that off. That's the, they call it the tenderloin, or the, we call it chicken fingers, or chicken tender. You can take that off. We're going to keep that separately so the breast cooks evenly. Okay? But this is what you want, skin on, drumette attached. Okay? And again, to take that, you'll see this white sinewy piece. You just start there and you just peel it out. Comes out really easy. Okay. And if you're feeling a little romantic today, you can make a little heart. Okay. So not much left on the bird, right? And that's the goal, is to get most of it into your guest's stomach so that they can pay you for it. Right? You don't want to leave much on here. Then when you're here, you want to flip it over. So it's on its stomach now, back is up. These are the legs. You want to grab, there's two muscles that we want to identify in the back here. We call it the oyster muscle. It's probably the best part of the chicken. If you don't know this secret yet, this is a really good part. So the way you find those is you grab the handle and you lift up a little bit, and it kind of flexes it right here. See that little muscle right here? That looks like a little mosquito bite. Right there. That, you want to include that with the thigh. Don't leave that in the bird. That's the best part of the chicken, I think. So we're going to make a little incision right in front here, just like that. Then I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to scoop out that oyster muscle because it sits in a little bony spoon pocket. I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, you see? See that little pocket right there? It's basically where our kidneys are in there, right around there. This is the pocket, this is the oyster muscle right here. So that's a good picture of the oyster muscle in the pocket. So you want to scoop that out first, and then take your knife, go underneath, and just walk your blade out, cut the rest. So here is a leg quarter, drumstick and thigh with the oyster muscle attached.
Is that just bone?
That's just bone. Yeah, just bone. That's the femur. And then, so again, this is symmetrical, so you can assume that the other oyster muscle is right on the other side there. Make a cut right in front of it. Take your thumb, scoop it out of the bony pocket, find that little area, pop it out. There you go. Take your knife and walk out the leg quarter. This will get saved for bones. Okay, so that's our kind of stockpile right there. And now we have two leg quarters. We call these leg quarters because there's 4 of them. 2 drumsticks, 2 thighs with the oyster muscle still attached. That's the oyster muscle, and that's the oyster muscle. Okay, now you are going to separate these two as well. If you'll notice, the thigh goes up, and then there's this fat line that's line right there. The drumstick goes up, connects to the thigh. There's a fat line right here. You're going to cut just on the side of the drumstick, on the fat line, and you'll go through right through the joint. Okay, and that's how you separate the drumstick from the thigh with the oyster muscle attached. And if you do have a little bit extra fat, you can trim that off. Leave the skin on, please. Very, very important. So now we have thigh, drumstick. I'll separate it again. Thigh, there's our fat line. We're going to cut just on the drumstick side, and we'll go right through the joint. Just have a little faith. Okay. So now we have 2 drumsticks, and here's our thigh with the oyster muscle attached. Okay. So this is what you're going to have when you're all done. This is called 8-weight chicken because you're breaking it down into 8 different parts. And we'll have buckets up here for you.